Hey guys, welcome to another video from Historic Militaria. Today we're going to be looking at the Yugoslav M89 Kevlar helmet. And these were a fairly standard yet somewhat uncommon item from the sort of the Balkan Wars. As the name implies, they were introduced in 1989 or thereabouts for the Yugoslav army. And they were used by the Yugoslav military till about 1991, when sort of trouble broke out in Yugoslavia. And they were taken into service by sort of whoever had some in inventory at the time. Whatever territory you were in, if you had some of these, you could use them. The people who seemed to get the most of them were the Macedonians. And as I understand, I could be wrong on this, but as I understand, the Macedonians sort of used a lot of these because the factory that produced them was actually in Macedonian territory. So that would make sense. You've got the factory, you can make the helmets and use them. But it seems like a lot of them that you see on the market today are actually Serbian, like this guy right here, with a Serbian eagle sticker on it. One thing I will caution is these stickers are really just that. They're just stickers, and I've actually seen entire sheets of them that could be applied to things. So you could have one with nothing on it, stick one of these on, and you've got a Serbian helmet. I don't really know that changes much about it if you're interested in one, but just know that they are pretty easy to apply, and there's a lot of people that have the stickers floating around. But as the name implies, 1989 was sort of when a lot of countries were getting away from steel helmets and gravitating toward Kevlar helmets, and this is no exception. This is a Kevlar helmet. This one is actually in pretty nice condition. Most of them are fairly beat up. This one is not, although you'll see there's some wear and some flaking around the rim. Doesn't seem to be too uncommon on these. I don't really know that they're made to the same quality as some other Western Kevlar helmets are. I think they are just as good in terms of ballistic protection, but aesthetically they don't tend to hold up that well. As you can see, you've got your a very standard type of Yugoslav liner in here, very reminiscent of your M59 helmet, which was a steel helmet, which preceded this. Leather sweatband, which is nice. A lot of them are going to have, numbers and whatnot in them because they were used. Most of these were used in the Balkan conflicts, or at least issued out to the military. One thing worth noting is you'll also see these in blue, and those would be police and special unit ones, and those are pretty much as common as the green, since it seems like the police were getting a lot of these and using a lot of these when everything broke out in Yugoslavia. As I understand it, only the Macedonian army is still using these actively. But they are still very much in use throughout the former Yugoslavia because they are a good Kevlar helmet. This is a standard either 87 or 89 pattern of camouflage. This is the standard cover on these. And flip this guy over. As you can see, this one's seen a little more combat service. Your leather is drying out a little bit. You've got just a cloth chin strap with your swivel bales here with a really standard little adjustment, and really nothing special about the inside liner, just very typical of what you would expect from a Eastern Bloc country. Very simple, very serviceable. These are, like I said, very well made helmets, and you can see how that camouflage cover actually attaches, just sort of a shoestring design. It goes around your inner band there in 4 places actually on this one. And these covers are pretty readily available but you really only can find them usually in Serbia, so they're a little bit hard to get in the States. Here's actually an example that is in the original packaging, and you know, they are available. They're not super expensive, but you just kind of have to get them overseas as the only downside. And then underneath these guys is sort of a rubberized version of a liner that is reversible, I believe. You've got your brown, you've got your standard green, and this is just going to obviously be to break up the pattern of the helmet, put anything on it. If you don't want to use one of the cloth liners, make your helmet a little more unusual looking. A lot of people call them the sniper version. They're really just for anybody that needs a little bit of extra cover, and they are pretty well made. They seem to be like a lot like a French helmet cover, but this is a Yugoslav standard pattern. I'm not sure when this one was made. Pretty modern. It might be left over from the 1990s or late 80s. Either way, unissued and readily available today. These helmets, as I said, are a little bit hard to come by in the United States. They're certainly not as common as the steel Yugoslav helmets, simply because they are still in use and sort of a hot commodity in Yugoslavia, or former Yugoslavia. Most of them you see are going to be pretty battered up and banged up. This one, like I said, is not. You've got your standard 3 screws on each side, 1 screw in the front, and 1 screw in the back. So 8 screws around the entire helmet, and that's for your liner here. They're held in with screws like that, and certainly not going to go ahead and take this one apart, but I don't imagine it would be too terribly difficult to do if you had to change out your liner. But either way, interesting helmet, not often seen. They are available if you are willing to deal with overseas shipping and potentially having to get it from Serbia or Macedonia or wherever in the former Yugoslav Republic you are finding them. But if you're willing to do that and you know somebody there, or you've got a reputable seller, they are fairly accessible to anyone who collects helmets. And they're a very interesting sort of Cold War and into the modern day helmet. So one of the few Kevlar helmets that was introduced sort of at the end of the Cold War, and a very interesting piece if you collect Yugoslav or Balkans memorabilia. So thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe, and we'll be doing more videos on helmets, broom handle, Mausers, all kinds of really cool militaria. And if there's anything you'd like to see, drop it in the comments, and remember, like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Thanks for watching.